Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The message reads like this: Hello my brother, how are you? It was in the year 2010 when I migrated from Zim, coming over here to Australia. That is where I am currently based. As for now, my brother, I am now staying with my current husband. But what happened to me when I was still in Zim, it is quite a story to tell. If I start to tell you all of the details, maybe this story can go on for days and days. What happened to me, my brother, at that time when my current husband came here to Australia as a nurse. We were going to the same church in which his parents were pastors. It was quite a small church. In that church, maybe we were just about 18 or so. It was just a small church in the neighborhood. My parents used to go to that church. My parents, as in my mother. My father was quite a drunkard, and the way that my father died, it is quite suspicious, because the same way that my first husband died, that is the same way that my father passed away. I have a lot of unanswered questions, but in our culture, they say that you are not allowed to question your mother or to say that your mother is a witch, because it is a taboo. They say that if you tell your mom that you are the one who is bewitching you, then you will bring bad luck upon yourself, even if your mother is a witch. But for the fact that she gave birth to you and she nestled you when you were still a young baby and she did not kill you, then you are supposed to respect her, even though she is a witch. But as for my mother, my brother, I truly suspect that my mother, she has something bad that is going on with her. Even the time when she visited in Australia, she only visited us once here in Australia. But after she had visited us, I started to notice a lot of strange things that kept on happening in our home. And the next time when she said that she wanted to come here in Australia, I then lied to her, because I was afraid that some of the things that had happened when she had visited us here in Australia, they were going to happen again. What I suspect, my brother, is that since my firstborn, my daughter, I named her after my mother, maybe she is trying to make my daughter to join this thing of her becoming a witch. Because as for my daughter, there were many times before we had started going to church, my daughter was someone who was really stubborn, and the only way for her to calm down was when I would speak with my mother. Then the moment that my mother will speak with my daughter, then my daughter will start to behave. My mother used to say, "Nice Sazita, what is wrong with you? This is not the way that you are supposed to behave." She meant that, "Oh, you who are named after me, don't you know that the name that you are carrying, it is a powerful name. You are supposed to behave yourself. People who are called by that name, they are not supposed to misbehave." And whenever my mom will say all of these words to my daughter, then she will start to behave again. And if we could go for many days without calling my mom so that she can speak with my daughter, then that stubborn behavior will come back again. Even now, my brother, I think this thing that is still happening in my daughter's life, it is not yet totally gone. My daughter is still going that process of being prayed by our pastor, because there are many times, like when she is sleeping, we can hear that in her bedroom there might be sounds that will be coming out of the bedroom. As a mother, I do rush to her room, then I'll find her sometimes just sleeping on the edge of the bed. If I ask her what is wrong, she will say that I have been dreaming, and when I'll be dreaming, Grandma was with me in this bedroom. She has been speaking with me. That is why, my brother, I have told you that if I start to share with you my story can go for days and for many days. My daughter says that whenever she has those bad dreams, she will start to hear some things in her bedroom, but in the end, when she wakes up, those sounds will still be there. and in the dream it will be my mother trying to teach her some things, like teaching her a language that she cannot understand. This thing, my brother, it has been going on for many years. What happened to me, my brother, is that when I was at the age of around 20 years old, I started dating our pastor's son, the same pastor at the church where we used to go to as a family. As we were dating, then my mother told me that I was supposed to sleep with our pastor's son. Because my mother said that I want you to get married to him. And that is what I did. That was how I lost my virginity. I slept with my boyfriend even though my mom was there with us in our house. My mother used to give us a room so that me and my boyfriend can sleep in that room together. I lost my virginity in my own bedroom whilst my mom was there at home. After I had slept with that pastor's son, that was when my mom started to demand for the lobola to be paid. At that time, my current husband was just a young man, somewhere around 24 to 25. That is when he left Zim, coming here to Australia. Now I know that the reason why my mom forced me to sleep with our pastor's son, it was because she had heard the gossip that my current husband was preparing to come to Australia, so she wanted any kind of attachment to be there between me and my current husband before he had left Australia, before he had left Zim coming to Australia. By the time that my current husband was here in Australia, I then found out that I was pregnant. And when I found out that I was pregnant, my mother then told me that there was this other man that she wanted me to get engaged with. This man, he used to work with my mother. All along, that man, he used to come over at our place. So I thought that my mother was dating that man. I never asked her. But one night, my mother told me that she wanted some assistance from that man. She wanted to renovate her house. She told me that the man had agreed to assist her with making some renovations because she wanted to build up some back rooms so that she can get some money. Since our father had passed away, who was more like the breadwinner in our family, so she said that only these back rooms can assist us with the money that was needed in the house. That is how I started dating that older man. At that time, when I started dating that older guy, he was 40. Then I got married to him when he was 41. All along, I had been sleeping with him. And the reason why he ended up marrying me, he thought that the pregnancy that I was carrying his baby. My brother, when I started staying with that older man, my mother then lied to the pastor and some of the people who knew me that she had taken me to the rural areas. So this secret, even my husband does not even know that I was once married at the time when he was still hustling here in Australia. What happened, my brother, is that when I started staying with that older man, my mother used to come to the place where I was staying with that older guy, and she used to demand a lot of money. That guy was the one who helped with all of the building of the back rooms that were being built at my mom's place. My mom used a lot of rituals on that man. The other ritual that she made me to do one day when she came over to visit, because that man, I had seen that he was more like the abusive type. So my mom came after shouting at that guy that I was staying with when he had left for work. My mom on that day, she said that she wanted to spend some time with me so that she can ask me where I was getting it wrong. After that man had left for work, that was when my mom told me that I was supposed to go into the toilet. When she had told me that I was supposed to go to the toilet, she had gave me a plate and she told me that I was not supposed to poo straight into the toilet, but I was supposed to poo on that plate. Then she will come and she will know what she was supposed to do. That is what I did, my brother. I was not feeling too much poo, so I pushed. It was just a few droppings. After that, I just left it there. Then my mom, she came and she collected that plate. After she had collected the plate, at the place where me and that man, who was my husband at that time were renting, the rooms were those ones that were roofed with metal sheets. So my mom then looked for a big drum. She then got on top of that big drum. She then dropped those poo droppings that she had collected in the toilet. She then dried them throughout the day. When it was time for me to start preparing for the man who was my husband at that time, because he used to love to eat whenever he would have arrived back home from work. So my mom then got up again on that drum. She collected those poo droppings that she had dried throughout the day. She started to crush those poo droppings until they were in a powdered form. As I was cooking, she then handed me that powder, which was my poo powder, and she gave me the instructions and she told me what I was supposed to do. My brother, she told me that after I had finished cooking, she was supposed to return back to her place, for she was not supposed to eat the food that contained this love potion. Then, my brother, when my husband had arrived back from work, I had prepared some water for him to bath. On that night, my mom told me that I was supposed to show love and affection to my husband like I had never done before. We ate, my brother, but as for me, I did not enjoy. But my mom had told me that I was supposed to pretend as if I was enjoying. After I had given him that love potion, then things started to get back to normal. But my brother, that older man that I was staying with, he started to get sick. He got so sick, but the moment that he fell sick, my mom said that he was not supposed to go to the hospital, since my mom was someone who knew a lot of herbs. A lot of times my mom will come and she'll be having a lot of herbs and she'll be giving those herbs to that guy that I was staying with at that time. That is how that older guy passed away. One day he just passed away when he had asked me to prepare some water for him so that he can bath. So I had gone into the bathroom. Since we didn't have a bathtub, we had those big dishes that we used to bath ourselves in. I had prepared the water for him. After I had placed the towel, the soap, and all of the things that he used when he was bathing, I left him in the bathroom. When I came back home, after a couple of minutes, not hearing any sound in the bathroom, I then called his sister, whom we were staying with at that time. After I'd seen that this man who was my husband at that time was really sick, so I then thought that it was a good idea to have his relatives with me all the times. When we went to the bathroom, that is when we found out that he had just collapsed and he was dead. But my brother, the way that he died, he had a lot of white foam that was coming out of his mouth. His neck had been twisted as if someone had strangled him to death. And this is exactly how my father passed away. The way that my father passed away is that he was found whilst he was sitting in his car, just casually parked whilst sitting in his car, and he was parked outside of our home. He was preparing to go to work. That is when our mom found our father with his neck twisted to his side, foam coming out of his mouth as if he had died whilst someone was busy strangling him. My brother, this secret my husband does not know, but he suspects that when he left me there in Zim, there was a period in time when I was staying with another man. But as for him, I do suspect that there is something that my mother did to him, because when my current husband came here to Australia for a few years, he chose to ignore me and he chose to ignore our daughter that we had together. But one day when we were just sitting, that is when my mom told me that it is now your time for you to go to Australia so that you can be united again with your husband. I actually laughed at my mother when she told me that the time for me to come to Australia had arrived, because to me, this didn't make any sense at all, knowing our situation in which we were in at that time and the difficulties of processing the papers. So I just thought that maybe my mom was just trying to make me feel good, since I was more like a widow, because that man who was my husband at that time had recently passed away. My mom then told me that I would end up in Australia and everything that she told me would happen. But out of the blue, my husband started speaking with his relatives, telling his relatives that he wanted to be reunited with me again. And it seems as if when he started speaking with his relatives didn't want him to speak with me. He then spoke with one of his former schoolmates. That is how he ended up getting my contacts, and we started speaking together. Even the time when we started to process the papers so that I can rejoin him in Australia, we did this in secret without the knowledge of his relatives and his parents. By the time that they found out that I had rejoined him in Australia, it was already too late. Even though they tried fighting a little bit, but we were already staying together. When my husband's family were busy fighting with me, that was when my mom came and visited us here in Australia. That is when I started to notice a lot of strange things that were happening when our mom was visiting us here in Australia. All that I want to say, my brother Nash, is that I know that according to our culture, it is a taboo to say that your mom is a witch, because they say that if you say that your mom is a witch, it is going to give you a lot of bad luck. I do not even trust my mother, for I suspect that she is a witch. Dear listeners, right there was a message that I received from our dear sister. Then we had to get it translated. She was saying that her story is too long. She does not even know where to start.